and they target it based on where they need it. And, you know, and we're going to see that in these recall elections. We see that nationally. I mean, why was Wisconsin picked to do this Scott Walker nonsense? You know why? Because the National Chamber of Commerce and the Koch brothers and all of those other guys know that, what is it like 60 or 80% of the union members are in, I believe, 5 Midwestern states. And they include Wisconsin and Illinois and Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. I guess that's 6. And that's where the majority of union membership is in the country. And what did they do? They systematically took over each and every one of those state governments except for Illinois, and they made a damn hard try there. And now what are they doing? They're doing union busting stuff in each and every one of those states. Now, not only are those the states where we have all the union members, but those are all states which are crucial, which are absolutely crucial to electing a Democratic president in the United States of America. And they know that, and that's why this is being done. And the sad part about all of this is that it's indeed Citizens United that is at the crux of this, because that has given them unfettered ability to spend as much money as they darn well please. Now, before I get to the part where I'm going to say that means we all have to work together because bodies can vote still, corporations haven't gained that right yet. But you know, it's interesting, and it's so sad to see. And it's also sad to see this because, you know, we went from the fact in Buckley versus Vallejo that spending money on behalf of a candidate, you know, in electoral advocacy is free speech, right? In Citizens United, we have declared corporate, right then in McDonald, we said that, you know, the people who were concerned said that there will always be a place for the money to be funneled. Then in Citizens United, we said, oh hell, just let them funnel the money. And now, and in that Citizens United decision, Justice Stevens had a fabulous dissent. If any of you ever want to read a really cool piece of American history, read Justice Stevens' dissent in Citizens United. What an incredibly brilliant man, and appointed by Dwight Eisenhower at that. But Justice Stevens talks in there about how the voice of the powerful with money, that the money can create amplified voices, and voices that drown out others, so that the voice of the common citizen can never be heard unless common citizens have an ability to band together. Now, what's interesting to me about this is that I am now in the middle of this capital access case, and Secretary Hipsch, Mikey from the Department of Administration, who's in charge of getting in and out of our Capitol building these days, had the audacity to say on the witness stand when we were questioning him that the problem with the protesters in the Capitol is that there are so many of them, they drown out the individual voices. You know? So I asked him afterwards if he had read Citizens United's dissent. He hadn't. But, oh well. Anyway, on that note, I mean, I think that this kind of stuff gives you a sense of what we're up against. But I think that we are at a point in history which is so unique and so incredible. I assume many of you here have been down at Madison during the times of the rally. I had the good fortune to go to the Obama inauguration, and being outside the Capitol among those masses of people was really kind of an incredible experience, because everybody was being nice to one another, and everybody had this sense of, you know, this is an historical day, and not just in terms of this decade, but in terms of our history. But to be outside the Capitol, as many of you were, and see that many people gathered in the same kind of sense, and with the same crowd sense of decency and whatever, but all there not just in celebration of something important, but in mutual concern for a common cause that rose above any one of us individually, but went toward the greater good. And, you know, it's really kind of what defines us as Democrats, this notion that together we are stronger than one, and we're together we are stronger than any individual. And I think, you know, and every time I'm on public radio on Friday mornings with their latest crazy Republican, I always think about it and I think, you know, that person on the other phone line doesn't get that concept. And that's what differentiates us. And that's why in these elections coming up, I think we will be able to show not just people in these various districts, but not just people in the state of Wisconsin, but I think we will be able to show both the nation and the world that all of us together as citizens can rise up and attain something despite the odds against us when it comes to the voices of the powerful. And here we will be in the Midwest doing the same thing that's happening in the Mideast. And we will be there. So it's a pleasure to be with all of you. Keep working on these recalls. Please, 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 please do so. I have kids. I hope at some point you have grandkids, and we all need to do that for them, if not for ourselves. And if not for those folks who need the government right now to make sure they get through the ends of their lives with dignity and respect. So there's a lot at stake here. There is a lot of money on the other side, and let's use that to their disadvantage and to our advantage. Thank you. Questions if you have them. I may not have an answer, or I could make one up and tell you I am. Senator Hansen, we'll let you be the elected official to speak, and then we'll move down.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your comments. My question is the impact potentially, their next big goal now is voter ID. What's your sense with that? That basically is eliminate college students from voting among other groups.
Oh, and it's going to eliminate all sorts of older adults. It's going to eliminate the poor. It's going to eliminate the homeless. Who else should we eliminate? You know, if we, you know, they're trying to figure out ways to eliminate people of color. You know, we'll go after them all. It's just sad. It's. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, then we'll take a math test. But, you know, I mean, frankly, you know, I listened to Mike Kipsch tell us it was going to be $7.5 million to fix the Capitol. I offered him on my next question to fix it for half that price. He didn't take me up on it. If he did, I would have done my own little independent expenditure campaign. But anyway, yeah, no, it's that voter ID is horrific, and you know that, Dave. And you know, and it's so sad because what's playing here too is the same thing that they're doing with Obama and the birth certificate, and now this craziness about did you really have good enough grades to get into that college? It's a subliminal, not even a subliminal. It's all about race. And you know, and finally, people in the media are getting up enough nerve to say that. And unfortunately, there's a chunk of citizens out there who think that's okay. So it is what it is, but that's why we need to keep doing these things that we're doing. You had a question.
Yeah. In regard to Citizens United, we keep hearing that corporation equals a person.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Well, it essentially says that corporations have free speech rights, okay? And that's a legal theory that's been developed over the years, mostly, unfortunately, until now, in dissenting opinions by Justices Scalia and Thomas. But they have essentially, over the years in a variety of areas, mostly involving contracting and things like that, given corporations the same rights that individuals as human beings have. And so then the question becomes, now we have given the corporations First Amendment rights to speak freely. Do we have other rights that can be given to them? And that's where you get the kind of, I think you know, the things that are being said now, corporations equal people, you know, I mean, fake marriage ceremonies between a corporation and a human or whatever, you know. But I mean, but I think that those are all done, you know, to show the illogical consequences of this concept being accepted in that case, you know.
So some of this was going on before Citizens United. Yeah,
I mean, the conservatives in the court, you know, I mean, we used to have a liberal Supreme Court, and then it kind of changed over the years. And what's interesting is that up until, even the Reagan appointees weren't that bad, but I mean, up until probably 1980, it was interesting to watch because a lot of the, well, we had one person appointed by a Democrat who became more conservative over the years, Justice White, but people like Justice Souter, Justice O'Connor, for a little bit in there, Justice Kennedy even, and did I say Souter already? I think I did. And and Justice Stevens, you know, who became the liberal bellwether successor to Justice Brennan, were all Republican appointees who over the years kind of developed a more accepting sense of what the role of the, you know, or how the little guy plays and stuff. Even Justice Blackmun from Minnesota, who was the attorney for the Mayo Clinic before he was appointed by, I believe, Richard Nixon, you know, he authored Roe versus Wade because suddenly it came to him that should the government really be telling doctors how to treat their patients, which is why that privacy right thing is the fundamental basis for Roe versus Wade versus, you know, the right to, you know, like kind of the woman's right to choose isn't the focus of that. It's the woman's right to have privacy with her doctor on medical decisions. But I mean,